Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Hunt Showdown guide. My name is Ace, and this particular guide revolves around helping out a minority to which I belong to. I'm talking about the brave solo players who force themselves to constantly compete against a world full of duos for a handful of dollars. Okay, actually the new patch introduced a $200 bonus whenever you solo kill the boss, so that's nice. But I got the feeling that duos still get the money faster than we do. So, here are 3 rules to help you wipe these duos that make your life a living hell off the map. And without further ado, let's begin. Rule number 1. Get rid of your gear fear. A lot of people are afraid to invest in a good weapon and additional gear. And to be honest, why wouldn't they? It costs a crap ton of money, and there's a big chance you blow that money out the window when you get killed. So instead of buying anything, they just go out with the basic kit. Or if they decide to buy a good weapon, they underperform because they're afraid of losing said weapon. The good guys on Reddit dubbed this psychological condition gear fear, and I really think it's a fitting name. From what I can tell, it is pretty common, even among higher tier players, but let me ask you a question. How often did you think that a particular situation could have played out in your favor if you only had the foresight to take item X with you? As a solo player, you have no choice but to get rid of the gear fear to become effective in the field. Remember that you somehow have to compete with 2 people at once, sometimes repeatedly, and not only your skill has to make up for that fact, but your gear too. Imagine you see 2 guys killing the boss, and they stand close together while they do it, like they always do, and you instantly think an explosion could boost both from the game and secure the bounty for you. Do you have a grenade ready? Well, for obvious reasons, you should. Also, I noticed that gear fear works in reverse too. I'm sure you've heard the machine gun sounds of the Nagant automat at least once by now. It's a terrifying sound. You know that this player or duo means business, and that is intimidating. So intimidating in fact that some players won't even bother competing for the bounty when this weapon is around. Of course, you'd still have to deal with some other players, but in my experience you can reduce your chances of encountering other players by simply showing off your big, hard, long nitro. Rule number 2. Learn how to hunt. I recently looked into the new God of War, and thanks to Kratos I was able to understand one thing.
You are hunting deer, not chasing it.
Let me explain the differences between these two. Chasing means that you immediately open fire on an enemy without thinking about your surroundings. This is one of the deadliest habits when playing solo. Since you have nobody to watch your back, you also have nobody to fend off. Are there dogs behind me? Shit, I gotta move. But I don't want to let them escape. God dogs, get away from me, god damn it! Other results of an itchy trigger finger aren't pretty either. Suppose you miss your shot. Then the enemy duo will be on high alert and you instantly have to fight in a 2v1 situation. Something you want to avoid as desperately as you can. Not to mention that this could develop into a trench war where both parties play hide and seek and lose a lot of time in the process. Time you and I need to get to the bounty. It's clear to see that chasing has a lot of downsides, so try to restrain yourself from pulling the trigger too early. The ideal way to get rid of another duo is to hunt them. Once you spot them, you start stalking your prey until you see a situation to get rid of at least one of them with the possible lowest effort on your part. That's why, whenever I can, I wait for other duos to be occupied with something that isn't me. For example, I scored one of my fastest team wipes while the duo was busy reburying a bunch of zombies. They got their knives out, which was good for me since switching weapons gives me extra seconds to kill them. And furthermore, I already knew where they would go. In front of the zombies, aka directly into my sight. The only thing I needed to do at that point? Pull the trigger. And if they're not occupied, then try killing them when it's impossible to run for cover. Or when it's impossible to run. That's why I hate waddling through water so goddamn much. You are so slow, and if somebody like me stalked you for a while, they will now strike and take at least one of your team out. So before you pull the trigger, ask yourself, are you at least 90% sure that you can waste at least one duo player within 3 seconds? If the answer is yes, fire away. Rule number 3. Learn to read the duos. You can become an incredibly effective killing machine if you take your time and learn to identify which type of duo you're playing against. The most common duo seems to be the alpha-beta relationship, in which one player is way more experienced than the other and hence is the leader. Most times, the alpha pilots a higher tier hunter, has better equipment, knows the game better, and takes the lead while navigating. If you want to take them out, then the alpha is your first priority. Without the alpha that usually has his back, the beta will try to resolve the situation as best he can. But since he's not that experienced, he will most likely make a stupid decision, like trying to revive his partner when the threat is still imminent. That secures your wipe. Also, they almost never split up, which means that you will spot both of them immediately. This, in turn, eliminates the chance of a surprise attack from their side. Another dynamic you can see is a legitimate partnership where both members complement each other by assuming distinctive tasks. These duos probably communicate on a different server, so you can't hear them, and usually both members have about the same level of experience. They know basic tactics and are not afraid to split up if necessary, which makes them a force to be reckoned with. You can identify an experienced duo by the way they kill the boss and other enemies. If they tackle the boss, one of them takes the role of a lookout, while the other one brings the bounty to its knees. They are most likely dressed for the occasion, meaning that the boss killer has at least a shotgun, while the lookout will have mid to long range weaponry. This also works in their favor when they fight other players. The lookout pins you down, while the melee guy tries to flank you or just rushes you to close the distance and finish the job. As of who to kill first, well, that depends on the situation or your preference. But whatever you do, be aware of their plays when facing off against duos like these. The last duo dynamic I was able to experience, although it is quite rare to see it in action, is a pair of independent players. And let me tell you, a duo like that is not to be messed with. Both players equip powerful gear, buy high tier hunters, know every nook and cranny of the map, and won't hesitate hunting you down until you're dead. What makes them so dangerous is their aggressive playstyle and advanced tactics. They may be a team, but they are comfortable with the idea of splitting up over long distances, so everybody else assumes they are just two solos who didn't run into each other. This cost me dearly in one of my recent games. I was sitting under the clue and was waiting for the guy above me to finish. My idea was to ambush him, when suddenly his partner appeared right outside the building to corner me. I was forced to retreat and use my vitality shot, which in turn gave his partner enough time to jump down and boot my sorry ass from the game. The only thing I can say about these players is, take your time, and for God's sakes land a headshot with your first bullet, because you cannot compete against two of them simultaneously. Look, I know that everything I described up to this point is pure backstabbing, but honestly, to me, it just looks like there are too many guys out there who want the easy way out, and I won't let them. And neither should you. Alright, that's it for this episode. I hope I was able to help you out, and if I did, then please leave the occasional comment or like, because your little gestures help me out more than you think. Also, I will use this chance to shamelessly advertise some other content on my site. Because if you like my style so far, you will love my other videos too. And now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go back to kill some more duos and work on another project. See ya!